talking about being relaxed,
Yeah.
you know, you have this tag on your back, you know, the bad boy. Now, we sat down and we had a chat and had a laugh and a joke in Crawley, and I must honestly say, you really do not come across to, or it didn't come across to me at all as the bad boy. Quite the opposite, in fact. You know, we're now having a chat, and you're doing an interview for a load of fans on a forum that you've never met. You know, so what is this all about, mate?
Well, I think the bad boy tag obviously started at the Grand Slam when I first made an appearance on TV. The sunglasses thing wasn't a coincidence because I've been doing that just as a bit of fun or like a motivation technique for myself since my early county days. And it was no shock to my former Northumberland teammates because they knew I was going to do it because that's what they were used to. When the crowd kind of make their first impression of you and make their mind up about you in that same instance, I think the bad boy tag was just put on me right there and then. It was then up to me whether I was going to say, right, that's not me, the sunglasses are coming off and I'm just going to be a normal player. That's not really me. Away from darts, I'm quite placid. I like to make people happy. I'm quite a generous guy from what I'm told. And essentially, really, I like to have a bit of a split personality because when I'm away from darts, I like to just be normal, do normal things like play golf, spend time with my brother and my friends. But when darts is on, especially at the TV tournaments, I do turn into a bit of a different person because I've got this little layer of aggression inside me which says there is an opponent who's going to be playing me today who's trying to take thousands of pounds out of my wallet. And I take that very personally. So I suppose what I've done is embrace the bad boy attitude of trying to, be as aggressive and competitive as possible. And that's, over the last couple of years, has been moulded into this image, which I've kind of kept forward. And I don't really want to lose it because I enjoy doing it. And I think it's pretty cool to do. I think there's a really big opportunity for fans to embrace my image. And, I hope it's good TV and I hope people enjoy watching it because it seems like that's what people want.
Well, it's certainly good TV. There's no mistake about that. And I'm sure the DRA love you topping up their coffers quite frequently.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we're going to be fixing.
Every time you're on TV, what do they do? Just email you their bank details?
Well, it seems like Bolton's coming up, and it seems like they'd be thinking, the yearly direct debit from Paul Nicholson's about to kick in. But that's not going to happen this year. I've made a promise to myself, and I've made a promise to my friends and my family that that's not going to happen again. Even if I do cop some more stick from those small group of fans again, then I'm going to put some things in place to make sure that I'm not going to be lashing out.
Yeah, the three obvious bad boys: yourself, Peter Manley, and Ted Hankey. Manley would use it to his own advantage and would turn it and actually gain from it.
Yeah.
Hankey, in my opinion, is the reverse. He reacts terribly badly to it, and it sounds like you're now learning to deal with it and looking to turn it around like Manley did. Turn it into a positive.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there have been periods where the image itself has worked extremely well. I think it perfectly. The crowd was so good. I've never really enjoyed playing the role as much as that. I mean, I was getting a couple of boos in the first game, but by the time the Adrian Lewis game came around and the Phil game, obviously, the crowd were on my side. I've never had that before, which was quite nice. You go to places like Blackpool, you go to Dublin, and I've got a lot of fans at these particular places, and they hate to say it in front of their friends, but they love it when I'm going up there with the sunglasses and giving it a bit of the old come on and who are you and all that kind of thing, because if you can engage the crowd and get up there and give them something to watch, you're giving the darting public an opportunity to say, right, I want to say that again. And if we can all do that, then this sport is just going to go from strength to strength. When I first started, I just didn't want to turn up, be some sort of regulation player, be forgotten, and that was it.
We call them pluggers, Paul. Or jobbers.
I wanted to be someone who was not only remembered for his ability, but also as a character as well. And eventually, the two will come together. And I think, you know, the more experience I gain and the older I get, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, 'cause you're still very young in dart terms, and you have a hell of a long career ahead of you. You know, should you choose to take it, and will end up being a very wealthy person. You know,
I hopefully will.
Do you feel that the wealth spattered about in the game now, you know, when you can earn 50k for reaching a quarter final at the Ali Pali,
Yeah.
do you think that actually takes something away from the ambition of the younger players like yourself, where you can become terrifically wealthy in a relatively short period of time? Does it take that hunger away?
I don't think so. I've met quite a lot of younger players recently, obviously, with the start of the Unicorn Youth Tour, and the standard and the hunger that I've seen in some of these kids is quite remarkable. I mean, for me itself, getting here and playing in the Grand Slam and playing in a few TV tournaments is a dream in itself. But when you realise that you're good enough to not only just make it there, but to contend, it's the hunger of doing it again and again and again, and the enjoyment more than anything really of doing it. That's enough. But when you're putting lumps of money like that on the table as well, it just makes everything that you do in life worthwhile. The hard work, the hours of practice, the time away from your family and your friends. If you put it all together, it's a great industry to be in right now, because, you know, essentially what we're doing is we're traveling the country with friends, playing the game we love and making money and making ourselves comfortable for retirement, which we can then enjoy away from darts eventually.
Sounds like a real fucking hardship to me, mate. I mean, I'd love to be able to throw 3 straight, but that's another story entirely. We were talking about your interaction with the crowds, and it seems like a decent time to talk about now the crowds in general and what we have been seeing recently in the Premier League, and a bit of that has spilled over into what I'd call the real tournaments. The Premier League is a massive exhibition designed to fund the Pro Tour. That's fine. We accept it for what it is. Arena darts, you've got thousands upon thousands of people. You know, I've heard stories, again, of Mark Webster being spat on as he's walking to the stage, and we all saw what happened in Glasgow to Adrian Lewis, which in turn affected Gando. You know, and how could it not? You know, what do you think they're going to have to do to try and rein this back a bit? Because it has spilled across into Dublin. It's spilled across a bit into Ali Pali. I've seen a bit of it at Bolton myself.
Yeah.
You know, it's fine players going on stage and saying, oh, they paid their money, they can do what they like, but they can't.
Yeah, it's a hard one to judge, really. You know, a lot of players have put their 2 cents into this particular argument. You know, some of the things that I've seen have been, you know, quite shocking. And we've seen other sports in the past have this kind of things. Obviously, the Eric Cantona incident at Crystal Palace. These kind of things really do need to be kind of stomped out before they get worse. It's such a shame that it always seems to be certain places that have these reputations. And I think the PDC and the players were hopeful that because the Gary Anderson and Lewis game was such a big game, that the crowd would respect it and, you know, just get involved in the game. You know, there are a few bad apples out there, and I think what we're going to have to do at some point is have, you know, a program in place like football, where if the fans are doing something like throwing a beer or, you know, spitting on a player or throwing a coin in these particular examples, we're going to need to find them on camera and make sure that they've got some sort of ban, like when people are not allowed to buy season tickets again. I think that's pretty much the only way that I can think of to get this particular thing stopped.
I would totally agree with that, but I think I would add that when we're looking at these arena events, that there will be a large portion of people that aren't actually dart fans at all.
Yeah.
So they're out for the piss up. It's what, 20, 25 quid to get in. Bit of a crack. It's expensive beer. You know, I don't understand it myself. I'd rather go, you know, darts and watch the darts. That's what I go for. But these people don't. They just go there to get totally wankered and shout and sing "Chase the Sun." You know, I think that's the problem of these arena type events, rather than what we call the proper majors.
Yeah, I think so I've spoken to some of the players. Obviously, I'm very close with Mark Webster. We speak about Premier League pretty much every week, and they say that places like the O2, as big as it is, it may be slightly too big. I think we need arenas like that as like a flagship. And I agree with the O2 being the start of the season because it's more like a launch, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge. 10,000.
Yeah, definitely. But I think from a player's perspective, they tend to appreciate the slightly smaller venues and the atmosphere that they get from those venues. Like Brighton has got a good relationship with the players. They love playing there because the atmosphere is so fantastic, and especially Bournemouth as well. I've heard that one mentioned quite a lot from the likes of Raymond and from Phil as well, because the Bournemouth venue really is one of the ones that they started at, and they've kept with it, and it really seems to work. But in order to get through to the public as a whole, the PDC are doing everything right in that respect, because they're going to Glasgow, which is southern Scotland. They're going to Aberdeen, which is northern Scotland. They're trying to cover as many fans as possible, because not everybody can make it to the match play or the World Championships or the UK Open. So they're giving them this opportunity, and it's just a shame that small minorities don't appreciate what we do and what we're trying to do for the particular darting public that we are trying to entertain.
Well, here's hoping that Uncle Barry carries out what he said last week, that they're going to be looking at CCTV and trying to root out the faces that actually did cause what was nearly on a riot in Glasgow. And hopefully that this behaviour will not spill over into the other major events as well.
Yeah, I think
there is a lot of monkey see, monkey do going on.
Yeah, I think we're in for a bit of a tester session at Cardiff on Thursday. I mean, I'd like to think, I've obviously played darts in South Wales myself on a couple of occasions, and the South Welsh people are just so mad about this sport. I would love to see a great atmosphere, and I'd like to see the Welsh people leading by example by showing that, this particular event on Thursday, this can all work, and no trouble has to be had for everybody to have a good time. And, people should obviously get behind Mark. If they want to boo a couple of players, it's entirely their option, but let's draw the line at that. Let's not boo people during their throw, and let's not throw things.
Yeah, totally agree, Paul. That sounds rather sensible. Let's just hope, mate?